If you've ever seen calisthenics practitioners work on their pull-ups, you will have noticed that they have insanely well-formed, insanely defined, and insanely strong back musculature. And if you want to build an amazing back with calisthenics, you won't get around doing pull-up exercise. But since the pull-up is a somewhat more advanced exercise, we're going to go through 6 tips that are going to make this absurdly easy on you to go from barely able to go through a complete chin-up while struggling to doing some of the most advanced pulling exercises like you've been doing it for your entire life. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. The way we grab the bar we're working on is going to make a lot of difference. We've got a classic overhand grip or a pronated grip, which is much more back and latissimus dominant, which is basically the largest muscle in our body when it comes to surface area, and therefore makes a big difference if it is well trained and can lead to a very nice V-shaped physique. We've got supinated, fingers towards you, or underhand grip, which is very biceps dominant and takes off a lot of pressure from our back musculature, being probably one of the first pulling motions you will learn and can help you pack on some size as well as strength when it comes to your arm musculature, specifically your biceps. And of course, you won't see this one a lot, but we also got a neutral grip, which is somewhere in between those two exercises, especially if you go for a wider neutral grip, which in turn is going to perfectly combine biceps and latissimus engagement. And the best way to get all the benefits from all 3 of those is mixing all 3 of those, doing exercises that go through both the pronated, supinated, and the neutral grip. One of the best things you can do for your pull-ups is focusing 100% on form and ignoring repetitions for a while, because perfect form will lead to much faster progress. So when it comes to the latissimus dominant pull-up, we're going to grab the tiniest bit wider than shoulder width apart. We're going to lengthen our back and our shoulders, going into scapular elevation, letting them pull up as far as possible. And from now on, we're going to tighten our spinal erectors, meaning our lumbar spinal musculature, so we stay fully straight. We're going to flex our abdominals from the very bottom, pulling towards the middle, bringing our chin above the bar and pointing our elbows downwards, flaring our lats, holding for half a second, and then slowly reversing the entire movement before we move on to the next repetition. Flexing your spinal erectors and your core will keep you from swinging, which in turn is going to force you to go through stricter movement patterns, and stricter movement patterns are going to lead to much more strength benefits, which in turn will lead to much more effective hypertrophy work. If you're strong enough to do an already okay pull-up, but you're still struggling with perfecting your form, there's absolutely no shame in using a resistance band to take off some of the load, so you can work on only perfecting your form with the minimum amount of strength requirements until you feel totally safe and totally comfortable with going through the same exact movement without a resistance band. And this way you can advance much quicker when it comes to perfecting your form. Now, one of the most important things that people wonder about is grip width, and the answer to that is yes. While a beginner can focus more on a shoulder width grip, which in turn is going to divide the load between your back musculature and your arm musculature. By widening your grip, you will start putting way more pressure on your back and lat musculature, and by going bananas with the width, you're going to almost have no biceps inclusion while almost all of the work is being done by your lats. Of course, the same thing will go for a much closer grip, which in turn is going to put almost all the pressure on your arm musculature and release most of it from your back musculature. And working on the close grip can be very efficient if you want to work on muscle ups later on, which means that now we don't only have 3 different grips, but we also have multiple widths, which each is going to help you target your back and your arms a little bit differently. So mixing and matching, combining all of them, finding out which ones you like more, which ones you like less, and doing the ones you like less more will help you advance much faster when it comes to your pull-up game. So now that we've got the most important basics down, we can add a little bit of nuance, because we also have a more arched pull-up and then we have a more hollow body pull-up, with both of them having different benefits. Now, when it comes to hollow body, we want to stay as straight in one single line as possible, and this one is going to help us work a lot on form. And at the very top, we can even round our shoulders the tiniest bit, move closer before we go back into this straight line, and then slowly in a controlled fashion reverse the movement. This strict pulling form is going to help you work a lot more on strength and can help you later on advance to strict muscle ups. And then we have got the more arched version, in which you will arch your back and lean backwards, closing your legs. And now we have a lot shorter range of motion, but this one can help us a lot when it comes to adding weight to our pull-up. Once we move on to weighted pulling exercises, while helping us hit our lats in a different way. And while you have people in both camps saying this one is better and that one is better, both of them are perfectly fine. Both of them have their place and their benefits, and I would highly advise learning how to do both and implementing both of those in your workouts if you truly want to get all the benefits you can get from a pull-up. While there are a lot of pull-up variations, there is one pull-up that should be a staple in your pull-up workout, because this is going to make the difference between a 80 to 90% good form to a perfect 100% good form. That is the scapular pull-up. Starting in complete scapular elevation, we're going to pull our shoulder blades together and down, which means that we're only doing the tiniest of movements before we release all of that, working with our traps and our lats the tiniest bit and our rear delts to start perfecting our scapular placement, because scapular placement is one of the most important things, not only when it comes to pull-ups, but in calisthenics in general. And most people struggle a lot with moving their scapula into the right position, and this exercise is going to help you with that a lot. And if you want to become even better at that, you can work in a quad repeat position and go through scapular adduction as well as abduction in those scapular push-ups. This way you will be perfectly capable of going through complete abduction and adduction as well as elevation and depression at will. And if you're truly looking to learn some of the more advanced pulling variations like the archer pull-up, then you should also do asymmetrical or unilateral scapular pull-ups, where we even add some upward scapular rotation in the top of the movement, so we can start building the necessary control to pull diagonally or laterally all the way up, like so. Next up, we have grip strength, and there are two exercises that should also become a staple in your pull-up workouts. With the classic passive decompressive hang, lowering to this very relaxed hanging positions, and basically the only muscles that are truly flexed are our hands and therefore our forearms. Everything else is as relaxed as possible, decompressing all of our joints and all of our vertebrae, which not only feels absolutely amazing, but now you can start adding a lot of grip strength even when you're totally out of strength to pull yourself up. And this in turn is going to help you stay on the bar for much longer. And then we have the active hang, where we bend in our elbows, move into scapular depression and adduction, and hold this very flexed position for as long as we can, keeping as much tension and adding tension to our core and our spinal erectors as well. Once again, helping you work on this full body straightness and tension that you need for perfect form pull-ups once you don't have enough strength to pull up anymore. And when it comes to time, I would advise being able to hold both of these for 60 seconds, which is going to be a lot harder for the active hang than the passive hang, but both of them have insane amounts of benefits. And I would go so far as to say do those two every single day, even on the days where you don't do any pull-up exercises, because they have a lot of quality of life benefits as well. From decompressing your shoulder, helping you with better posture or more natural posture, helping you release lumbar or back pain, and all kinds of other stuff that would take me half an hour to get into today. And finally, and this is not rocket science, most of you probably already know this, but reducing fat, which leads to reduced weight, will help you pull up a lot easier because you weigh a lot less. Keeping as much muscle mass while reducing as much fat as you can will help you stay as efficient as possible when it comes to all kinds of calisthenics exercises, because our body weight is the weight that we are pulling, and the heavier we are, the heavier the exercise will be. While this can help you more with working on hypertrophy, meaning building muscle mass, it will hinder you the tiniest bit when it comes to learning more advanced skills and learning skills that require a lot of tension, a lot of control, and a lot of good form. Which doesn't mean that you won't be able to do those exercises if you are heavier. I'm just saying they will become a little bit harder. Any extra gram of fat that you carry around with you will be an extra gram that you will have to use during your workouts. And when it comes to reducing fat, don't go on any of those special diets. Don't do any of that bullshit. Just reduce into a calorie deficit of 100 to 150, a very tiny calorie deficit, until you are totally happy with whatever body fat you have. It might take you a year, it might take you 5 years. It doesn't really matter. It just has to be sustainable. If it is something that is very hard on your body, very hard on your metabolism, and most importantly, very hard on your psyche, you won't be able to do it for long, and you will rebound once you stop with it. So please, the tiniest of calorie deficits so you don't overdo it, and don't jump on any crazy diets if you don't truly need it. And by need it, I mean prescribed to you by a medical practitioner or your doctor. Now, these tips should be more than enough to help you advance your pull-up game. And if you are looking to learn more advanced pull-up variations, you can check out this video where we literally go from the easiest pulling exercise in calisthenics, the wall pull, to the most advanced pull-up exercises, doing complete circles, all those cool movement patterns that are gonna make you an absolute beast, not only when it comes to size, not only when it comes to definition, but also when it comes to strength and full body control. And of course, if you like the video and subscribe. Come on, we do stuff like that almost every single day, and you can unsubscribe anytime you want. You have nothing to lose. And I will probably see you tomorrow. So until then, Captain Cairo, peace out.